OSPI, the ledge update is there. Things are still moving and changing, but it is about to come to a close. OSPI has done a great job of keeping those things lit with links and what's still alive and what isn't. So thanks for that. The WAC changes. So I had this conversation with someone the other day and they said, oh, I'm a little confused because I don't know what the WAC changes are and when they go into effect. So from my understanding, and Bill can jump in, they are still anticipating the WAC changes happening July 1. And that's been a pretty, they kind of go with fiscal. So May 25th, they're having an additional hearing. If you're interested in putting any input into any of those, that is an additional opportunity. The Zoom link has not been released yet, but once it is, I will share that out. The document that's linked on that WAC that with the underline and the nice blue, that is the entire document. And as you can see, it's 107 pages. If you have time to peruse it, it's interesting. However, I listed what I think are really big program changes that will directly and potentially immediately affect you. So the first one is preschool LRE continuum. This isn't new. I don't really think it'll affect you, but they did add the wording continuum. We've always had an LRE continuum requirement in preschool. They just changed some of the wording. It's on page 20 if you want to read it. Referral form and 15 days to determine to evaluate. So pages 31 and 32. Every district has to have a publicly available referral form to use. And from that written referral, any referral made for your district, the change would go from 25 days to 15 days to determine if you're going to evaluate. So for psychs, that has quite a bit of impact, especially itinerant psychs and scheduling meetings between several buildings and things like that. Once you get the referral, that 15 days isn't to do interventions. That 15 days is to gather data, pull the meeting together with those people who are involved with the kids and the family and determine how you want to move forward. Are you going to evaluate or are you not going to evaluate?
Darcy?
Yes.
I believe is that, and I'm looking at my notes from when we went over these, it is back to 25 days.
It went back?
I believe so.
Okay, somebody check me on the draft that's attached there. Was the draft updated? Or was it in their comment section?
That I couldn't tell you because I only heard this on Monday.
Okay. So the part where I was talking away and no one could, could hear me, I was saying, does everybody feel like it's March again, back into last year, and you say something Monday and then Tuesday you're wrong again? There you go. Like to have a specific example there. Bill, if you could find that in writing somewhere, that would be fantabulous, just so I can share it out.
Will do.
Okay. Parent informed of alternative standards and outcome of a regular diploma on page 38. So this is where you're having the conversation in the IEP meeting about alternative assessments, which will be the WAAIM. And that means that you're changing the level of standard versus using grade level standards that you're using in all your other IEPs. You're now going to be using off grade level or essential elements, and making sure that parents are informed that that could change the type of diploma they get between the CIA and CAA. The CIA is the Certificate of Individual Achievement. And then page 52, this was new, and it doesn't affect you much, maybe other than an email. If you place a child in an NPA, that you send OSPI notification. I don't think that I don't know the intent behind that bill, so I'm going to guess, but I wonder if they want to know how many kids out there are actually in NPAs, even if you're not applying for safety net or something like that, and they may not be able to grab that information. And so it's, I mean, it didn't even sound like you need approval or compliance or anything like that. It's just, hey, we've got a kid. So it'll probably fall somewhere in count. Does that sound right, Bill?
Yeah, yes, it's just that, we want to know where those kids, how many kids are out there, where they're at, and kind of what's going on.
Okay, and then on page 58, another change is that if you're in an IEP meeting and you're talking about a different placement than where the child is, or options within placements, families have a right to go and have an observation of the proposals of those placements. And they also have the right to record the IEP meeting. So those are the big changes, and hopefully Bill will share with us quickly that B has changed.
Yes, I just got confirmation back from the person who's doing the rule changes, and it is back to 25 school days.
Great, thank you. So all the psychs on here now can be really happy because that gets to be a little stressful managing schedules. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay.
We had seen the referral form, Darcy, that they were looking at. Did it end up being very much along that lines? And is that in the document?
Yes, the referral form we looked at it's exactly the same. I didn't notice any changes to it, and it is on the model forms now. If your district wants to copy that or use that form, that's available on the OSPI site already. And if you need that link, let me know. I can send it to you.
So if we're using another of our own SAT type referral form, and you're saying it needs to be available upon request, or you're also saying it should be on our website for families?
Yeah, I don't think you have to use the OSPI form if you have your own, but the language they use is publicly available. So I would say, yes, I would definitely have it on my website.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Leanne. ESIT, there has been conversations for a while about school districts who are compliance-wise taking those 3-year-olds from the ESIT program and knowing they're coming and meeting the 90-day deadline and all of those things. So officially, whoever your person is that can get into the ESIT communication, all children who are 2 years and 3 months will automatically show up in that system for you so that you know they're coming. So that's a nice change, and hopefully will help you out with meeting that 90-day piece. If you submitted safety net, the transportation cost calculator is available, and there's the link for that. And the special ed advisory committee with OSPI is working on defining inclusion and an actual definition that OSPI would support. If you're interested in being part of that conversation, there's the Zoom link and you can click right there to get it. Okay, graduation. I think this is the one that's had the most changes, and it's changed again. So I shared with you the graduation 1-pager, and then maybe I shared that on Monday, and then Tuesday, April 20th, we got more graduation guidance. So I wanted to give you time to actually open the document and meet in small groups and see if you have any questions or staff situations, so you know what's happening within your district. So I feel like this is in the wrong spot, Leanne, because I was going to stop recording, but I haven't done the task list yet. The Padlet. There, that one. So before I put you in breakout rooms with it, I want to remind you that the Padlet is there as a resource. I want to remind you, you still have some some things to do from there. I didn't update the WA aim, but the WA aim is due June 11th. You still need to complete the WA aim on your students. So hopefully most of your teachers are already done with that. I also wanted to show you OSPI's summer tips because I think it's a great resource. And two, I think they're really helping you with what they're seeing in due processes. So if you could open that up for me, Leanne, I'm just going to run through the topics. So evals and eligibilities, initial IEPs, and those kiddos that are transitioning, make sure you're not missing your initial deadlines. So remember your re-evals, you can do the extension, and technically you can for initial still, but they're not always allowable by the guidance. So make as many as you can. Know that some of you are extending school years or changing dates or starting early and those things. It's still on your school calendar. And if you have an eval done, unlike school days, you're now on calendar days to finish that IEP. So don't finish that eval and forget you've got to have that IEP along with it. Also, IEEs. If you get a request for an independent educational eval, you have 15 days to decide what you're going to do. And that's either agree and communicate with the family about those options in your process or file a due process. IEEs and initial evals seem to be a struggle with the due processes, and it's immediately a compliance issue. So just keep your eyes on those as we run into the end of the school year. Recovery services. They kind of reiterate what's already in the Q&A. We've talked about this before. We've shared some resources for how to make that decision and how to document it. Hopefully you've been having this conversation with your families already and documenting in the prior written notice what the IEP team decided. I don't think that guidance has changed much. Recovery services is not the same as summer school, and it's not the same as ESY. And remember that we're changing our language because comp ed means there was a filing and there was a finding and you now owe compensatory ed. Recovery services, you're not in trouble. You're just having that conversation with the IEP team and figuring that piece out. Summer school and ESY, this isn't new information, but if your school district is running summer school, you want to make sure it's accessible to your students with disabilities, whether that's accommodations or if you're offering SDI in order to give them access to the gen ed. And then extended school year is specific to the students' IEP goals that they have. And it's based on regression over break. So you just finished spring break. You might have another rash of names or concerns, or your teacher saying, hey, we just finished break. Here's what that looks like for that kids. And then you need to create an ESY IEP. Okay. And then just some reminders of your applications that are due primarily July. If you have staff that are leaving and they get that whole month off, make sure that all of those things get done. And that first dot isn't even, that changed too, because we're sticking with I-grants, right? So we don't have to worry at this time about making any changes to another funding source. And we will do our workshop in May where we're all together working on that grant and making sure we have most of that done by the time our meeting will be over. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that other one. I'm going to stop recording because that is